The impossible challenge. The Galactic Union's council chamber was silent. For centuries, this hall had been a place of great decisions, alliances, and debates, but now it was a place of fear. A massive holographic projection flickered in the center of the room. It showed a black hole, spinning like a hungry beast, its gravitational pull increasing every day. If nothing was done, it would consume entire star systems. And no one could stop it. A problem with no solution. The greatest minds of the Galactic Union had studied the problem for years. The Vorlaxians, the most advanced scientists in the galaxy, had run thousands of simulations. All ended in failure. The Tyrak, a species known for their advanced engineering, tried building containment fields. They collapsed instantly. The Sorelians, masters of gravitational physics, attempted to redirect the black hole's energy. It only grew stronger. Every strategy, every theory, had failed. A cold, robotic voice from the Galactic AI Core finally announced. Conclusion: the black hole is unstoppable. No known technology can prevent its expansion. Silence filled the room. Then the Supreme Chancellor of the Galactic Union stood. His reptilian features looked pale, his voice heavy. Then we have no choice. We must evacuate the entire sector. Gasps erupted across the chamber. Trillions of beings lived in the affected systems. Hundreds of planets would be abandoned. Entire civilizations would be lost. But no one had a better answer. The challenge was impossible, until someone said the unthinkable. A name no one expected. A soft voice broke the silence. It came from Ambassador Kara, the representative of the Zypheri, a species known for their neutrality. What about the humans? Every head turned. Confusion, then laughter. Humans, the small primitive species from the backwater planet called Earth. The Galactic Union had invited them as observers, nothing more. They were still considered a young race, barely capable of interstellar travel. The idea was ridiculous. A deep, booming voice from a Tyrak general echoed in the chamber. If the greatest civilizations of the galaxy have failed, what can humans possibly do? More laughter, more dismissive gestures. But Kyra did not back down. She tapped her data pad, and a new hologram appeared. A list of human achievements. Survival against impossible odds. War tactics that defied logic. Engineering solutions that worked when they shouldn't. An ability to adapt, innovate, and break the rules of science. A few council members stopped laughing. The Vorlaxian scientist, Professor Yix, squinted at the data. Wait, you're saying the humans have a different way of thinking? Kyra nodded. They don't see impossible. They see a challenge. The room fell into deep discussion. Then, the Supreme Chancellor sighed and made his decision. Send a message to Earth. Let's see if they have an answer. Earth's response. On the other side of the galaxy, inside a secret research lab beneath Geneva, Dr. Emily Carter sat in front of her quantum analysis screen. She and her team had been monitoring the black hole problem for months. When the Galactic Union's request arrived, she barely blinked. She read their message twice. Then she smirked. Took them long enough to ask. The response was sent minutes later. 2 simple words. Challenge accepted. The galaxy reacts. When the Galactic Council received Earth's response, the reaction was mixed. Some laughed. The humans think they can do better than us. Others were curious. What if they actually try something different? A few were concerned. If they fail, it will only speed up the destruction. But there was no turning back now. Earth had been given the impossible challenge, and humanity never backed down from a challenge. The humans arrive. The Galactic Union's headquarters was a place of cold logic and ancient traditions. It had stood for thousands of years, a fortress of power and wisdom. But today, it was filled with uncertainty. Every major species had sent their finest minds, scientists, strategists, and engineers, gathered in a massive circular hall, watching a single screen. A countdown timer blinked in the air. 00:10. 0 o'clock, 09, 0 o'clock, 08. The humans were about to arrive. For the first time, the galaxy would see if Earth truly had an answer, or if they were just another foolish species chasing the impossible. A grand entrance, a sudden shockwave pulsed through the station. Not an explosion, a gravitational shift. The space above the Union's headquarters rippled, as if the very fabric of reality was bending. A second later, a ship appeared out of nowhere. Not from hyperspace, not from a warp gate. It was just there. The alien scientists gasped. The engineers scrambled for explanations, but there was none. No species had ever done this before. Then, a voice echoed across the comms, smooth and confident. "This is Dr. Emily Carter, lead scientist of Earth's Black Hole Research Division. Apologies for the dramatic entrance. We like to make an impression." The humans hadn't even landed yet, and they had already broken the rules of physics. The first meeting. The massive doors of the council hall slid open. The human delegation entered, led by Dr. Emily Carter. She was flanked by a small team of Earth's best scientists and strategists. They walked with calm confidence, as if they belonged here, despite the fact that everyone in the room believed they were unqualified. Every alien eye was on them. The Vorlaxian scientists sneered. The Tyrak warlords whispered to each other. The Sorelian physicists scoffed. Dr. Carter walked up to the massive holographic projection of the black hole crisis. She studied it for exactly 10 seconds. Then she turned to the council and said, "You're all looking at this the wrong way." Silence. Then, laughter. Loud, mocking, uncontrollable laughter. The skeptics speak. A Vorlaxian physicist, his metallic skin reflecting the light, stood up. "You think we, the greatest minds in the galaxy, have been looking at it the wrong way." Carter nodded. "Yes." A Tyrek strategist bared his fangs. "Arrogant humans, you've been in space for what? 2 centuries. We have studied the laws of the universe for millennia." "Exactly," Carter said. "You've been studying the same way for millennia. We haven't." A hush fell over the room. The Supreme Chancellor narrowed his eyes. "Then explain, human. What do you see that we do not?" "A different way of thinking." Dr. Carter turned to her team, nodded, and activated a new projection. The alien scientists gasped. It was the same black hole, but displayed in a way they had never seen before. Instead of static models, the human simulation shifted in real time. Instead of treating the black hole as an unstoppable force, it treated it as a system with weaknesses. Instead of seeing it as a death sentence, the humans saw it as a puzzle. Carter pointed at the center of the projection. "You see a gravitational collapse. We see an unstable energy field." She flicked her fingers. The projection rewound time. "You see an expanding threat. We see an exploitable pattern." The council watched, speechless. No one had ever thought to analyze the problem this way, because no one had ever thought like a human before. The first test. The Supreme Chancellor's expression remained unreadable. "You have our attention, Dr. Carter. What do you propose?" Carter smiled. "A test." The Galactic Union had spent years running failed simulations. The humans. They built a real-world model in under a day. A miniature quantum gravity engine, so small it fit in the palm of her hand, replicating the black hole's instability. "You've been trying to contain the black hole," she said. "We're going to redirect it." The council erupted into chaos. "That's madness," shouted a Tyrak warlord. "That violates every law of physics," screamed a Sorelian scientist. "You'll destroy the entire system." Carter just shrugged. "Maybe, but let's find out." She placed the device on the testing platform. A countdown appeared. 10 seconds. 9. 8. The room held its breath. Would the humans prove they were onto something? Or would they prove the galaxy right? 7. 6. The impossible challenge had begun, and humanity never backed down from a challenge. The first test. The countdown ticked down. 5. Every eye in the Galactic Union's council chamber was locked on the small, humming device on the testing platform. 4. It wasn't much to look at, just a compact quantum gravity engine no bigger than a human hand. 3. But if Dr. Emily Carter was right, it was about to change everything. 2. If she was wrong. 1. Then humanity's first real contribution to the Galactic Union would be its greatest failure. 0. The device activated. A new kind of science. The room held its breath. A faint pulse vibrated through the air, so subtle that many species with weaker sensory perception didn't feel it. But the Vorlaxian physicists felt it. The Sorelian energy masters felt it. And they stared in shock, because something impossible was happening. The miniaturized black hole model, which had been completely unstable, growing larger with every moment, froze in place. The expansion stopped. For the first time, the simulated event horizon was stabilized. The room erupted in noise. The Union reacts. Some scientists scrambled for explanations. Others outright denied it. A Sorelian expert shouted, "This is an illusion. It violates every known law of physics." Dr. Carter leaned forward, amused. "Then maybe your laws need to change." The Supreme Chancellor raised a hand, silencing the room. His reptilian eyes locked onto Carter. "Explain." She nodded and gestured to the hologram, zooming in on the event horizon. "Every species here has tried to contain the black hole's gravity. But containment means resistance, and resistance means failure." She tapped the screen. The projection rewound, showing the same event from a different perspective. Instead of fighting it, we redirected the gravity's flow. We turned the black hole's expansion against itself. A stunned silence fell over the council. No one had ever thought to do that, because no species thought like humans. Doubt and challenge. A Tyrak warlord slammed a clawed fist on the table. "This is a controlled test. It proves nothing. The real black hole is 1,000 times more powerful." Dr. Carter shrugged. "So let's scale it up." The room froze. She couldn't be serious. A Vorlaxian scientist, his metallic voice trembling, muttered, "You want to test this on the actual anomaly." Carter folded her arms. "I didn't come here for small experiments." She stepped forward, scanning the room. "I came here to solve your impossible problem. And the only way to do that is to do the impossible." A decision is made. For what felt like an eternity, the Galactic Union leaders debated. Some still called for evacuation, the only logical choice. Others, for the first time, felt hope. Eventually, the Supreme Chancellor stood. His voice was calm, measured, final. "You have 3 days, Dr. Carter. 3 days to prove to the galaxy that your species is not wasting our time." A countdown appeared on the room's central display. 72:00. Dr. Carter turned to her team and gave a single order. "Let's get to work." The final test begins. News of the human experiment spread across the galaxy. Some species laughed. Some feared what would happen if humanity failed. And some started believing. But in the farthest reaches of space, something else watched. A force that had remained hidden. A force that had seen what happened the last time a species tried to change the rules of the universe. And it wasn't going to stay silent for long. Because if humans truly succeeded, then nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same again. The final test begins. The countdown had started. 72 hours. That was all the time humanity had to prove that the impossible could be done. Inside the Galactic Union's top research facility, a massive viewing platform overlooked the colossal black hole anomaly that had threatened the galaxy for years. Every major species had sent their greatest minds to watch the humans attempt what no civilization had ever accomplished. And most of them were here to witness their failure. The critics watch and wait. The observation deck was filled with murmurs of doubt. A Vorlaxian physicist whispered, "This is madness. Their test worked in a lab, but this is reality." A Tyrak warlord scoffed, "I admire their courage, but bravery does not rewrite the laws of physics." A Sorelian scholar sighed, "It's a shame. I had hoped humanity would survive a little longer." Even the Supreme Chancellor, who had given them a chance, stood with his arms folded, expression unreadable. The entire galaxy had gathered to watch Earth's greatest experiment, and most were waiting to see them fail. The human approach. Inside the human control room, Dr. Emily Carter stood before a massive holographic display of the black hole, surrounded by her team. She knew the aliens doubted them. She didn't care. They had spent decades overcomplicating the problem. Humans. They saw things differently. They didn't believe in unsolvable problems. They believed in solutions. Carter turned to her team. "Final system check." A voice crackled over the comms. "Quantum stabilizers online. Energy fields at full capacity. Eye guidance locked." She exhaled. "All right, people. Let's rewrite physics." Activation. The experiment started with a pulse. A controlled energy wave designed to disrupt and redirect the black hole's gravitational pull. The first wave was sent. The second wave followed. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, the black hole flickered. A ripple spread through its event horizon, the first external reaction ever recorded. In the viewing deck, alien scientists leaned forward in disbelief. That's not possible," a Vorlaxian gasped. But it was happening. For the first time, the black hole was responding. Something goes wrong. Then came the unexpected. The ripple didn't stop. It grew. And then, the gravitational field reversed. Warnings blared across every screen. Instability detected. Energy spike reaching critical levels. Black hole mass fluctuation accelerating. The observation deck erupted into chaos. "They're losing control. The humans have doomed us all. Shut it down before it consumes everything." The Supreme Chancellor turned to Carter. "Fix this. Now." Carter's jaw tightened. She wasn't afraid. She was frustrated, because she knew exactly what went wrong. She turned to her team. "They're thinking like scientists. We need to think like engineers." Human instincts take over. The Galactic Union's best minds were paralyzed by fear. But humans, they had spent centuries breaking things, and then fixing them. Carter's fingers flew across her control panel. Increased the second wave by 200%. A technician hesitated. "But that'll do it." A deep hum shook the station. The stabilizers roared to life, blasting a third, unprecedented energy wave into the anomaly. For 3 agonizing seconds, the black hole expanded wildly. Then, it contracted. The readings stabilized. And then, the impossible happened. The moment that galaxy changed, the black hole's rotation slowed. The collapse stopped. And a second later, the gravitational mass decreased for the first time in history. The galaxy had spent centuries fighting an unstoppable force. The humans had just rewritten its rules. A stunned silence filled the chamber. Then, for the first time in history, a black hole shrank. The unthinkable had become reality. Reactions across the stars. The Vorlaxian scientist who mocked them sat in stunned silence. The Tyrak warlord, once skeptical, whispered, "By the gods, they did it." The Sorelian physicist, who had called them fools, muttered, I don't understand." The Supreme Chancellor, usually so calm, exhaled deeply. And then, finally, he spoke. "Humans, what have you done?" Carter smirked. "Something new. The shockwave of change." The news spread faster than light. For centuries, the Galactic Union believed they understood the laws of the universe. Humanity had just proven them wrong. But in the farthest reaches of space, where ancient empires slept, something else noticed. Because when you break the rules of physics, something always watches. The awakening of giants. The galaxy was silent. For the first time in recorded history, a black hole had been controlled. Humanity had done the impossible. And now, everyone was afraid. Not of the black hole, but of the species that had just rewritten the laws of the universe. Shockwaves across the stars. The news spread like a supernova explosion. Across the Galactic Union, species that had once dismissed Earth as a backwater world now whispered in fear. The Vorlaxians, the galaxy's greatest scientists, struggled to understand what had just happened. The Tyrak warlords, once amused by human bravery, now saw them as a threat. The Sorelian scholars, who believed in absolute knowledge, now questioned everything they knew. The impossible had been proven possible, and that meant anything was possible, even things that should never have been. A meeting of power. Inside the Grand Hall of the Galactic Union, a secret emergency meeting was called. Only the most powerful leaders were allowed to attend. The Supreme Chancellor, his reptilian face grim, addressed the council. The humans have broken the laws of the universe. This changes everything. A Sorelian elder, her voice trembling, spoke. What if they do not stop here? The room stiffened. Because that was the real fear, wasn't it? The humans weren't bound by the limitations of other species. They didn't accept impossible. And now that they had proven it once, what else would they challenge? What else would they change? The answer terrified them. The hidden enemy stirs. But as the Galactic Union debated what to do, something else was watching. In the cold, forgotten edges of the universe, ancient machines flickered to life. Deep within a dead star system, an artificial intelligence, older than any known empire, received the human experiment's data. A transmission, repeating over and over, reached its core. Unnatural event detected. Black hole manipulation confirmed. Violation of cosmic stability in progress. Enforcement protocol. Initializing. For millennia, this ancient intelligence had remained silent, waiting for a civilization foolish enough to break the fundamental laws of existence. Now, it had found one. Humanity. And the time for watching was over. The time for erasure had begun. Earth's warning. Back in the Galactic Union's research station, Dr. Emily Carter and her team celebrated. They had defied expectations. They had proven themselves to the galaxy. But then, the warning came. A deep pulsing signal originating from beyond the galactic rim. The message was ancient, written in a long-lost language. The station's translation systems struggled to decode it. Then, after minutes of processing, the words finally became clear. A single phrase, "You should not have done this." Carter's heart stopped. She turned to her team. "Who sent that?" The technician shook his head, pale. "We don't know. But it's coming from outside the known universe." A silence heavier than the black hole itself filled the room. Because humanity had just done the impossible, and something out there had been waiting for it. The true war begins. As the Galactic Union panicked over what humanity might do next, they had no idea that the real danger was already on its way. Earth had changed the universe, and now the universe was fighting back. The universe fights back. The warning had been sent. You should not have done this. A message from beyond the known universe. A warning from something ancient. Something watching. And now it was coming. The first signs. At first, no one noticed. Earth scientists were still celebrating their success. The Galactic Union was still arguing over what to do about humanity. But then the anomalies began. In a remote Silari research outpost, gravity fluctuated violently, then collapsed into nothing. A Tyrak battleship, stationed near a pulsar, vanished without a trace, leaving behind only distorted sensor logs. On a distant Sorelian colony, time itself fractured, replaying the same moment over and over. The galaxy had no explanation, but Earth did, because the distortions weren't random. They were focused, all originating near the black hole humanity had stabilized. And now they were spreading outward. The awakening of the architects. Deep in the void, where no light had touched for eons, an ancient intelligence stirred. It was not a species. It was not a civilization. It was something older. Something designed for a single purpose: to ensure the natural order was never broken, to erase anything that did, and humanity had broken the order. The architects had awoken, and their first target was Earth. The Council's decision. Inside the Galactic Union's Grand Hall, a new emergency meeting was called. The Supreme Chancellor stood, voice heavy with tension. The anomalies are spreading. We have less than 3 standard cycles before we lose control of the entire sector. The Sorelian ambassador shook her head. This is because of the humans. They broke the rules of reality itself. A Tyrak warlord growled. Then we must act. We should have crushed them when we had the chance. The council erupted into chaos. Some demanded Earth be isolated. Some wanted to negotiate with the architects, if they could even be contacted. Others feared that nothing could stop them. And then, a voice rang through the chamber. You're all missing the real problem. Silence. Dr. Emily Carter stood at the center of the room, arms crossed. Her words were calm. Steady. The architects aren't coming for just us. They're coming for everyone. The room froze. The Vorlaxian scientist frowned. What do you mean? Carter stepped forward. They don't just want to erase Earth. They want to reset the entire sector, everything we've built, every species, every world. She turned toward the Supreme Chancellor. And you all know I'm right. A chilling realization sank into the minds of every leader present. This was not just humanity's fight. It was a war for the survival of the entire galaxy. Earth prepares for war. On Earth, the message had already been received. Humanity had rewritten the rules of the universe. Now they would have to fight for their right to exist. The UEG, United Earth Government, issued a global emergency directive. Every scientist, strategist, and military leader was summoned. The words spoken in the war room echoed across every broadcast. This is no longer just about us. This is about survival. And humanity has never lost a war for survival. Every nation, every colony, every outpost, mobilized. Earth's deep space stations were converted into forward battle platforms. Stealth ships were deployed to scan the void for the incoming enemy. Experimental quantum weapons, based on their black hole stabilization research, were rushed into development. The galaxy had fought wars before. But this time, the rules had changed. Because the enemy wasn't just powerful. The enemy was reality itself. The first contact. The architects did not send diplomats. They did not send warnings. They arrived. Without ships, without armies. They manifested, shifting structures of dark energy and impossible geometry, appearing in deep space like living anomalies. The first battle wasn't fought with weapons. It was fought with existence itself. Space warped unnaturally. Time flickered and reversed. Entire fleets lost contact with reality. And the worst part, every single weapon fired at the architects did nothing. For the first time, humanity faced an enemy that could not be killed, and Earth had only hours left before the architects reached them. The final war had begun. The war for reality. The architects had arrived. They were not an invasion force. They were not an empire. They were something else. Something that existed beyond time and space. Something that had waited for eons for a species foolish enough to break the laws of existence. And humanity had done just that. Now the final war had begun. The last stand of Earth. The architects did not travel in ships. They did not fire weapons. They simply arrived. In deep space, near Earth's outer defenses, the first engagement took place. The United Earth Fleet launched their most advanced warships, armed with quantum disruptors and gravity warheads. The Galactic Union, realizing that Earth was the only species that had a plan, reluctantly sent their strongest fleets to assist. The Tyrak, The Vorlaxians, the Sorelians, and dozens of other species, once Earth's greatest skeptics, now stood beside them. But their weapons failed. The architects did not burn. They did not explode. They simply absorbed everything thrown at them, reshaping reality around each attack. The first battle lasted 7 minutes. Then the architects erased an entire fleet from existence. Not destroyed, not vaporized, erased, as if they had never existed. Humanity breaks the cycle. The Galactic Union fell into despair. How could anyone fight something that couldn't be destroyed? But humanity had always fought the impossible. And Dr. Emily Carter had one last plan. Inside Earth's war room, the best minds of humanity had been working on a final solution. A weapon not to destroy the architects, but to rewrite them. The reality bomb. Humanity had spent centuries trying to understand the universe. Now, they would change it. Dr. Carter and her team had created something that should not exist. A reality bomb. A device capable of rewriting space-time itself. A system that could counteract the architect's influence. A weapon that didn't fight with destruction, but with creation. The plan was insane. It had never been tested. But impossible problems needed impossible solutions. And humanity was about to break reality one last time. The final battle. The architects reached Earth's orbit. They had come to erase humanity from existence. But as they descended, something unexpected happened. The reality bomb activated, and the universe fought back. Space rippled. The architects' forms began to fracture. Time bent. The invincible entities hesitated. Cause and effect collapsed. The very laws they had enforced for millennia were now being rewritten. The architects had never faced an enemy like this, because no species had ever dared to change reality itself. Humanity had not found a way to destroy them. They had found a way to undo them. The architects' final words. As the reality bomb expanded, the architects spoke for the first time. Their voices were not words, but echoes of time itself. You do not understand what you have done. The Supreme Chancellor, watching from the Galactic Union's command deck, whispered, "What do they mean?" Dr. Carter, exhausted but victorious, looked at the collapsing entities and answered, "They thought they controlled the universe. But now, they're just another part of it." With a final pulse of energy, the architects vanished. Not destroyed, not defeated, just removed from the equation. The war was over, and humanity had won. The new galactic order. The Galactic Union stood in awe. For centuries, they had believed in absolute laws of reality. But now, reality had changed, and humanity had proven that they were no longer just another species. They were the ones who redefined what was possible. With the architects gone, the galaxy was no longer bound by fear. A new era had begun, and at its heart stood Earth, not as rulers, not as conquerors, but as the species that had saved existence itself. The final warning. But deep in the unknown reaches of space, something watched. Something older than the architects. Something that had waited longer than time itself. And as humanity celebrated, a new signal was sent. A message old as the stars. A warning. They were only the first. The war was over, but the real battle had just begun.